Here is a creativity-driven essay inspired by the scenario of Mark Consuelos admitting he felt pressure in his relationship and saying, "I wasn't ready for that type of commitment." While no article with exactly those words was found, the themes resonate with his past public reflections on jealousy, youth, readiness, and evolving relationships. When you say the word commitment, it can feel like two things simultaneously: a door that swings open and a weight that presses down on the chest. For Mark Consuelos, that weight has been present, perhaps hidden behind the camera lights, the public scrutiny, the polished morning show smile. There's a moment of clarity, when you realize you're being asked not just to show up, but to stay, to anchor, to promise. And when you're not ready for that kind of stay put, the pressure begins to build. The young heart and the big step in those early days, 25, 26, maybe younger. Mark once admitted he was pretty insane with jealousy. He looked around at love and said yes, but maybe without knowing what yes really meant. Commitment then was glamorous, exciting, spontaneous. It sparkled under lights. But as he later reflected, being too young to get married was no platitude. It was a warning. His partner, Kelly Ripa, put it plainly. On paper, it should not have worked, and when it didn't work, we really worked at it. There's a difference between wanting to love someone and being prepared to let them change you. The former thrills, the latter requires patient labor, adjustments, sacrifice, confrontation of your own shadow. Perhaps this is what Mark meant when he spoke, hypothetically, of not being ready for that type of commitment. He might have meant he was ready for the public romance, the roles and scripts, but not ready for the hidden, messy willingness of soul work. Pressure. The invisible partner. When two people commit, you invite not just each other's sunshine but each other's storms. The pressure doesn't show in the wedding photo or the red carpet smile. Rather, it sits across the breakfast table, in the half-spoken resentment, the exhaustion of balancing 2 careers and 3 children, the daily demand of showing up as your best self even when you're not. Ripa confessed to resenting her husband for how slowly he aged, or rather, how he seemed unchanged while she moved 6 months ahead every day. "It's your fault," she said. "You just aren't aging. In any way. Not even a little." That resentment is a symptom of pressure. The expectation that things will always be perfect, or at least safe. The unspoken contract. If we commit, everything will stay well. But things change. People age. Children leave. Work transforms. Public personas shift into private vulnerabilities. And when the contract cracks, not everyone is ready to pick up the pieces. Readiness, or the illusion thereof, saying, "I wasn't ready," is easier than saying, "I didn't know how to be." There is romantic valor in youthful spontaneity, an elopement, a fiery, "yes today." But readiness means you've seen yourself in darkness as well as light. Mark and Kelly eloped in Las Vegas, fast, spirited, full of hope. Yet years later, Kelly admitted they were too young to get married. Maybe readiness is not an absence of fear, but the acceptance of it. A commitment isn't a ceasefire, it's a promise to fight alongside each other. To sometimes fight each other, and still stay. To stand in the awkward dinner conversations, the parenting crises, the public scrutiny, the moments when the camera is off and the only thing between two people is breath and truth. Mark's admission, "I wasn't ready for that type of commitment," may be humble. It may also be real. Because saying you weren't ready opened space for honesty. "I made mistakes. I learned. I had to become more than I was." In public relationships, there is little room for that kind of transformation. The spotlight rewards the finished product, the perfect couple, the always in love. But the work happens in the shadows. The work of staying across decades. The couple have spoken of "no quit" in their union. It's less glamorous than fireworks, but far harder. Being committed means showing up when there's no audience. It means forgiving when you don't want to. Apologizing when you're tired. Trusting when you're afraid. And when you didn't feel ready, that work looks different. It may start with admitting you were wrong. Admitting you were lost. That pressure you felt was not merely external. It was internal. The longing to appear strong, to hit your mark, to succeed. To love and be loved without cracking. And when you crack, the question isn't just, "Will you fix me?" but, "Will you stay with the cracked me?" A new kind of commitment readiness evolves. The person who once said, "I'm not ready," can become someone who says, "I choose you again, today." That's the quiet magic of long-term love. The public sees the smiles. The private knows the storms. The confession, pressure, unreadiness, is not a failure, it's a waypoint. In that way, Mark's confession is hopeful. It says, I have carried the weight. I understand now that commitment was more than the moment I said yes. It's the many mornings I wake up beside you and remember I once feared the weight of staying. It's knowing that staying is the art of love, not just the declaration. So the door swings open. The weight presses down. But this time, you lean into it, shoulders back, breath steady, and you walk through anyway. Because staying doesn't mean being perfect, it means being present. And when you can say, I wasn't ready then, but here I am now, you have not only committed to another person. You have committed to growth, to change, to courage. You carry the pressure not as a burden but as a badge of survival. You commit not just to each other's ease, but to each other's becoming. If you like, I can pull together direct quotes and a timeline of Mark Consuelos' reflections on commitment, pressure, and readiness, and we can unpack how they evolved. Would you like me to do that?